that one there. So this is our middle page. And what I want to demo today, let me just get everything out of here that I don't want just now. Excellent. What I want to demo today is what we say when we pull the data out of our BIM model. This is our BIM model that we made, was it last week or the week before now? I can't remember. So we made this, we demoed it with you guys, and I then used the same demo for the AT students. We're going to pull data from that and then get the costings. So if we go to the middle page, we come down to the folder that's retrofit project files, and we come to this BIM protocol spreadsheet. What I'm going to do, I'm going to download this and save it onto my desktop. I'm not going to modify any data in it just now. I'm just going to play about with it so I can get some things to work. But I don't want to play about with the one that's live on the cloud, if that makes sense. I want to play about with a safe one. So I'm going to pull it down. I'll open in desktop. And then what I'll do save as. I'll put it into my folder. Actually, no, I'll put it into my correct folder. And this will do me. I'll do version 4. And what I'll also do is create a new tab. Put it here, a new sheet. So this is our naming protocol, which everything has to be aligned to, and we will come to that later on. I'll go there just now. I'll go back to our BIM model. So something very simple that we've created. It could be inside, this is what we've got so far. I'm going to select, as I did the last time, I'm going to select the two panels. I'll go File, Generate Report. We already generated the report format. If you can't remember how to do that, we do have it in the previous recording. I'll press Run. I also have it recorded on a separate video, one of those 18 videos with a bit more detail, take it a bit slower. There's my report there. I'm going to download that. I'll put that in the same folder as I put my other files. What I'll do is I'm going to copy all of that just now. If I'm going too fast, please give me a shout, but it is being recorded. And I'm going to just separate that out. So that's just got our comma delimited file into a spreadsheet now. However, we do have some problems with it. No, that's not helpful. Let's do that again. Right, so the first thing I want to do, I'll just pull this separator out. This is panel West 1, and this is panel North 1. So it's two separate panels. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to try and separate and pull things out of this. And the same as last week, we'll go equals text, TEXT split, text split. And it's this field here that I want to text split, comma, quote marks, underscore, quote marks, close bracket. And what that's doing there is using that delimiter, or in our case it's not a comma, it's actually an underscore. And I'm separating out into each field. So this would be the location. So 3 is the that external installation, or an internal, sorry. The ground floor, or ZZ meaning undefined, but that panel was ground floor. What is it? It's a wall, or a membrane, or an internal lining. the materials, PP, polypropylene, I think it was. PP. Where's PP? Here it is. Polypropylene. And TIM was timber, WF was wood fibre, and so forth. Right, so we've now separated that out. We now also want to get, let's go with the volume. Let's try and get the volume out as well. We'll put it here. And we'll go value. Value. I'm going to go open brackets twice. I'm going to go left. Then what we'll do is I will put this in a text file for you. I think I already have done actually. I'll show you later on how to find that text file. Save you having to type it all out. So it's value, open brackets, and make it bigger so you can actually see it. It's probably a bit easier if you can actually see what I'm doing, isn't it? I'll do this one. I'll do that again. Value, value, two open brackets left, open brackets, and it's the cell that we want to pull out. It's the volume, that one there, comma, length. Oh, sorry, do apologise. Left cell length, L-E-N, length, open brackets, the cell again, close brackets, -8. -8 just means we're going to strip off the last 8 characters. Close brackets, close brackets, close brackets. So what that command has just done, it's taken the value in that cell there, it's removed the last 8 characters, and it's returned it as a numerical value rather than a text string is what it's done. We'll copy that and we'll paste it all the way down. Show you that one. And just for our sanity, I'm going to make a note up here. This is volume, just so we know exactly what we've got here. Right. The next thing we want is a list of all the unique products we have just on these two panels. If I go equals, unique, U-N-I-Q, unique, and I'm going to go, this is material, so it'll be M colon M, gives you the whole column. And that gives me all of the unique things that exist in that column there. It's only 2 panels, so it's not very many. Right. Now, this is where we're going to find some lovely errors. I use the word lovely because actually I want to demonstrate how this will help us find problems and then force us to fix the problems. Okay. Actually, are we there yet? No, we're not quite there yet. We've got one more thing to do before we do the lookups. So we'll do the sums now. So let's work out all of the volumes for each of these products that we've currently got in that BIM model. I'll do it here. So I've got something that actually returns a value. I'll go SUMIF, open brackets. I'll have to remember how to do this. Right, yep. Sum, I'll do M colon M, comma, criteria. I'll go there, that would be PP in this occasion, comma, and it's a range here where the volumes are, row, R colon R, close brackets, And that gives me the total of any time we've got, like, for example, 0.001 plus 0.006 and so forth. Anytime there's a PP and it adds that up, it returns that value. Copy and paste that up, and I'll copy and paste that down. So that's just got all of our volumes so far. Does that all make sense for everybody so far?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, again, just for my sanity, I'm going to make sure that I know that this is in units of cubic meters. It's not in, that's all that it's in at the moment. And this may cause a small problem, which we can easily overcome in just a second. Right, the next thing I want to do is to bring in some costs from our cost sheets that we as a class have been building up. We'll come back to that in a minute. So we're going to use a command called VLOOKUP. Let me just turn this phone off because that's going to annoy me. Sorry, are we back now, yeah? If I go equals, and we'll go VLOOKUP, and go open brackets. Now what I'm happy to do once I've done this example, I will upload this spreadsheet that I'm doing here for you to have a look at and play with afterwards as well. Right, so it's VLOOKUP, lookup value. There's my value there. Lookup value, comma, lookup table array. So I'll go to my costs, and I'll go materials, all the way down to my rate, and I'll go down, and I'll do something like that just now. Then I'll go comma. Now it's asking for the index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Index 5, comma. Now it wants to know if it's an approximate match or an exact match. It will have to be an exact match. So we'll say false, close brackets, enter. That looks like it's got a problem, but we'll go with it just now. Just for sanity, I'm going to also want to hold those cells. I'm going to hold those cells just now. I take it when I'm using this dollar command, people know exactly what I'm doing with that dollar command. Does anybody not know what I'm doing with this dollar command?
I don't know, Andrew.
Right, thank you, Joe. So this dollar command is to hold array. Well, if I press that OK now, and I'll copy and paste it up and down, I'll show you what I mean. Now, don't worry about those errors. If I've got, say, something like that, and if I've got an equation here that says this times that, and I press OK, 2 times 2 is 4. I'll copy that cell and paste it here. Then 4 times, well, actually, I didn't want that. There's my horizontal. Sorry, there's my vertical, and there's my horizontal. I don't want 4 times 3. What I wanted was 2 times 3. If I show you what I mean by that. Now it's got 12 times 4. What I actually want would be that. So how I could do that is I could hold my horizontal, so that Y, put a dollar sign in front of the Y, and press OK, copy, and paste it, then we can see it's 2 times, so it's worked quite nicely. However, if I copy that and paste it down here, it's now got 4 times 3, and that's not what I wanted. So what I'm going to do here, so I get shot of that one. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to hold the 19. So I'll go dollar in front of the 19, Z19. If I copy that and paste that down, that's held it. Has held it that way there. If I delete that and I copy, delete that, delete that as well if I want, copy that and then paste it. We've now got 9 times 9 is 81. 8 times 8, 64. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, let's get a shot of that just now. I know in real world, you probably use something like Airtable. I'll give you a quick example of what no, don't do that, don't do that. In the real world, companies would start to use softwares like platforms like this, or they might use Microsoft Power BI, or they start to use platforms, come on, I don't want to play with me. Microsoft Power BI is another version of what Airtables does. But for us, and we're going to do it all ourselves in hand, just using very basic Microsoft Excel. We're not even going to use macros in Excel because in the last 2 years, Microsoft Excel has got a little bit more powerful, and some of the commands that we use in particular, we've got text split, we've got values, not a new one, unique's quite new, and SUMIF is relatively new as well. VLOOKUP's an old command, but with these new commands, we don't even need to use macros, where 4 or 5 years ago, to do what I'm about to do here, I'd have to have used a macro to do this. Right. However, after saying all of that, we've got some problems with my VLOOKUPs. What are my problems? Well, my first problem is PP, polypropylene, does not have any value. PB has got a, well, there's nothing found. NA, let's have a look. PP, there we are. Right enough, it does not have a value. Let's just put a number in there just now. This is, what is PP? Just, I'm going to put you in the spot, Joe, I do apologise. Polypropylene. So this is like a, this is, what would you call it? It's a vapor control layer. So I would imagine a vapor control layer, you would pay, you wouldn't pay very much per square meter. What, 50 pence a square meter or something, Joe?
Yeah, I would buy it by rolls, but
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but how big's a roll type of thing?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go.
I mean, it just, we don't need the numbers to be perfect. They just need to be there or thereabouts, just roughly. Right, so remember, I've not changed the one on the line. I've only changed the one on my hard disk. So the one on the line has still got no number there. And I put a functional unit in of square meters because I'm just trying to guess what that is. There's no way you would buy that by the cubic meter. You'd either buy it by the roll, or you probably buy it by the roll and it would tell you it's X number of square meters per roll. If that makes sense. Right, so if we go back here, we can see that PP now has a value. Right, but this is a cost for this is a cost per functional unit. We'll have to just bear that in mind. The next one, plasterboard. It doesn't have a cost either. Why not? Has plasterboard even been costed yet? It looks like it hasn't. Nobody's put a cost in for plasterboard. Let's just put in PB just now. And Joe, off the top of your head, what are you paying for plasterboard at the moment?
I'm just having a look just now. The price is going up just now, but again, I would buy it in sheets.
Yeah, exactly. How much is that sheet?
If you said, depending on what it is, but if you went 50 quid a sheet, you're probably no far off.
£50 a sheet.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember,
Now,
I'm a contractor QS, so I inflate prices.
yeah, you can buy it for a lot less than £50, I may add.
I know. That's what I charge.
Okay, well, that's a good point. But we're not trying to be QSs. We're just wanting to have the ability that a QS could take what we do and draw from our BIM model that data. So let's call it £50 a sheet. However, do we put down a functional unit a sheet? I don't think that's what we would do. We would put a functional unit in there. Now, we could have it plasterboard, and it could be, I don't know, either 15 millimeters, 12.5 millimeters, or it's pretty much all there is, isn't there? They no longer do 9 millimeter stuff anymore. I don't think so anyway. So it's either one of those two. Now, in reality, what you would probably have, you'd have a cost for 15, 12.5, foil-backed, non-foil-backed, fireboard, moisture-resistant board, and you probably have a breakdown of all of the different ones in the real world, one would imagine. You wouldn't just have a cost per plasterboard randomly. It would be for the type you've actually specified, because different types of boards do come at a higher value. I'm looking for confirmation. Am I saying roughly stuff that's true, Joe?
Yeah, well, it would depend on the project, Andrew, but yeah, you would have a cost you would usually agree a rate for supply and install plasterboard.
Yeah, supply and install, but for just now, we're only just trying to demo pulling data out of our BIM model. It's really all that we're trying to do. So I'll tell you what we're going to do just now, just for simplicity. Let's just do square meters. Joe said it's £50 a sheet, so we'll go £50 divided by the area of a normal sheet, 2.4 times 1.2, and so that's going to be £17.36 per square meter. Okay?
Okay.
So that's a good enough price. It's good enough for us. Remember, I'm only modifying this one. This is not the one that's online. We will come back to what's happening here in a minute or two. So let's go here. Now we've got our costs per functional unit. Let's take this equation, copy that, we'll paste it here, and then we'll change this value from 5, well, let's see, to 4. Why did I do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, that's my functional units. And it's now giving me my functional units of those products. Now, I can get my cost for this one really easy, timber. There's my volume multiplied by my cost per functional unit. Straightforward. And that's just cost. However, these ones are slightly different. Does that make sense so far? So What our problem is then, is this is costed out at square meterage. However, we've got our volume from the BIM model in cubic meters. So if we know that we're only using 15mm plasterboard throughout, we could very easily just convert that. But let's just say you've got multiple types of board, different types of things, and you can't be, it's not that you can't be bothered, it's more a case of there's too many things to keep track of, and you want it to be converted for you in a more ready manner. There's things you could do. I suggest for this class, we might want to, I'll not use the word cheat, but we might want to make our life a bit easier. We could either convert our costs to cost per cubic meter and try and keep that as constant as possible, apart from where things are linear meters. So if you've got wood fibre insulation, I'm sure I saw that somewhere. So now someone's put a cost in there of £36 per square metre. Well, that's depending upon how thick that product is. And it only comes in certain sizes, certain thicknesses from Styco. So you could put that cost in per cube or leave it in per square metre, and then you'd have to convert it here. Am I making myself understandable, first of all? If I am, good. If I'm not, please shout out. So, however, we've got a small problem. Because we're trying to do things really basic at the moment, and we've not been very consistent on how we do things, what I find when I go to my len x, is it x, y, and z, if I go to my PP, I demoed this in class the other day there, the thickness of my polypropylene, we've just drawn it as 1mm thick. However, the thickness of the wood fibre insulation here, we find, oh, I apologise, that's not the one that I wanted. That slab actually is 140mm thick, so that's fine. So the wood fibre would be fine. The one that would be incorrect, no, actually that would work because that's just timber. That's timber. Okay, I apologise. So we'll just do this then. So we're going to pull out length y as a thickness. I'll put a new column in there. th. I will copy, not that command. I'll use this command. That's the one I want. And I want did that not work? And the reason why, this time I only want to remove just one character, or is it two characters? Let's count. Try to double check. Yep, two characters. So I've now got my thickness. Am I doing this right? I feel as if I'm not. I feel as if I've just made an error. No, I have made an error. Do apologise. I'll get a shot of that just now. Right. And of course, I would do it in the wrong one. Right, that's good. Right, now if I do it here, now I'm starting to realise this is looking very confusing, very messy, and really not very tidy at all. So I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll draw a hard line down here, so people understand that this part of the spreadsheet from here to there is different from this part of the spreadsheet. Okay, what I'm now wanting, I now want to know the thickness, the TH, or sorry, I want to know the len Y for each of those products there. So if the product is a square meterage, I'm then going to divide by len Y to then turn it into the functional unit that it requires it to be in, so I can then get an appropriate cost. Does that make sense, first of all? Have I lost yous?
I'm still here, Andrew. Yeah, it makes sense when you're doing it, but I just can't see myself doing it. To be honest, it'll take a bit of practice.
Right, so let's do some cheating then, yeah? Let's do some cheating. We've got a list here, right? And we know what they are. We know we don't need to worry about timber. Timber's all good, because that's in a functional unit of cubic meterage. So let's just cheat. However, these ones I'll make pink. They are not good. They're not suitable for us. How about we just manually pop that data in? So PP, we happen to know 0.001. I know that because I looked at it 5 minutes ago. PP is there's 0.001.
So Andrew, you could really just say equals F7 if you wanted to be really manual. It is slower. There's no formula, but you could do
equals
that.
F7. Yeah, absolutely correct. F7. And then
is there nothing wrong with doing it that
plasterboard.
way, except for it's longer, I suppose?
Yeah, plasterboard. We could just go, let's find plasterboard. I'm being blind. There we are. And then the last one with fiber, that should be 140. Oh, I'm an idiot. It wouldn't be that one. It would actually be this one. Come on. Nice. I'm making this look really difficult when it's really not. Just T. Okay, cool. So there's our thicknesses there. So if I take my volume divided by my thickness, I should get something like 14 meters. And so that is our actual square meterage for those products. So what I could do is, I could just go, sorry, that times that. This is perhaps a slightly slower way that would be coding it out.
Andrew, one thing, do we need to memorize these formulas as well that you are putting in?
No, how about I've already typed them up for you. How about what I'll do, currency. The answer is no. Do apologize. 1 second. So, the formulas that you've got, let's just have them all out for you just now. We had, what was the first formula? The first formula we had was this one. And I'll make that, I'll give that a color, give that blue. And that was there. The second formula that we had was value. And let's give that a color. The next, that was also value. I'm going to give you this spreadsheet anyway. And then it was unique. Up to near the same. Then this is sum if. That's quite a powerful one. I do like it. Darker green. V lookup. I don't know, black. I'll just do that, but I'll make that one white. We just cheated for that one there, to be honest. That's just 1 divided by the other, and that's just a multiplication. Now, this spreadsheet looks incredibly messy. I would never present this to anybody ever in the industry, but you can see how we can extract the data. So there we've got a cost, a sum just for those materials for those 2 panels. Now, in reality, to build 2 timber panels like that, that's not a million miles off. I know we've not costed in people's time, labour cost or anything like that, or removal or anything. It's just the material cost. But it's not a million miles off. But the quantities are absolutely correct. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah. Andrew, out of interest, do we,
Yes.
at any stage, are we factoring in labour, like, fit-ins, things like that?
I'm sure if Andrew Smith was here, he would say yes. But this module isn't about that, Joe. This module is about the creating of a BIM object. So it's about you creating something like this, but inside that house, either inside or outside. I would do outside if you can, personally, make your life a lot easier, as I demoed 2-3 weeks back. You draw something in BIM, you give it the data, you give it some additional information, you then extract the data. It also pulls with it the geometry, i.e. the volumes, and from that you create. Now, in the real world, Joe is quite right. You would factor in all sorts of things, labour costs and everything. I don't think we want to do that because that might not be something. Well, first of all, the other two, Ralph and Barry, is that something you would normally do in your current job?
No,
No.
not currently. No.
No. Well, you know what then? I know for Joe this is easy stuff. I wouldn't bother. Let's try and focus on you've created data. You're going to extract the data out. You're going to show that you've got the data out, and you're going to present that. That's probably the thing that's more important to do. You then also want to talk about what's in. I'm going to stop sharing just now. Cool. What I'll do is I'll save this spreadsheet here just now, and we'll upload that onto Moodle before we run away. But now what I want to do is to talk about a few problems that we've got, because you're going to have to create some BIM objects. So if I just go back to sharing, now I'm conscious that we're still recording, which isn't a bad thing, to be honest. I'll be having the same conversation tomorrow anyway with the other students. This is our naming protocol, and you can see we've got location, level, type, material, subtype, manufacturer, differentiator. Like it or not, that's the naming protocol that the class has chosen. I do think there's some problems with it. However, you'll derive that yourself. You'll figure out what the problems are, or pinch points, or frustrations you might want to call them. And you can then talk about that in this oral presentation that you'll be doing. But let's have a look at the costings. This is where the problem starts to occur. In the costings, we can see, Ralph, was that you that put them in? Right, Ralph, first of all, it's amazing. You did panic the other students because they had done nothing, right? However, one thing you might have missed in one of the videos that we've done was the naming protocol. So you've got a manufacturer Kingspan. Let me just copy it back. I'll copy that whole. I'll copy
Can you
this
share that,
just
Andrew?
now.
Are you working at the moment? Can you share it?
Oh, sorry. Right, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, thank you.
Right, sorry guys, sorry. Right, so Ralph, I take it this stuff here is yours.
Yes.
Awesome. It really is good. The guys were starting to panic in the other class. They were going, oh my word, what's this? Oh, sorry. What happened there? They started to panic, going, oh my word, what's this COSH URL and website URL thing all about? So obviously they've started adding in theirs afterwards, which I'm so glad they're doing. Right, however, let's have a wee chat about what you've got here. If I'm going to copy that just now, and I'll come over to this, I'll just paste. Sorry? Still there, yeah? Right, and I'll just paste it in here just now. What we need, the manufacturer Kingspan. Let's see if does Kingspan already exist.
No.
No, it doesn't. So what you probably should have done was you should probably have put Kingspan in there, and then your initials. You are RZ, right? And then what you would have wanted to have done is given it an abbreviation. Now the abbreviation, sorry, go a bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4 characters. Meant to be no more bigger than 4 characters. However, I've already broken that, right? But is Kingspan definitely not in there, right? Using the accurate now in the real world, you probably use numbers for this to be truthful with you. But when you write all your codes in just pure numbers, it's pretty unreadable. You need to be have worked in it for 5 years to figure out what all the numbers mean. So we're going to use, or what the class has decided, they're going to use just simple initials. It could be King Span, KS. Has KS already been used? See, the problem is, if KS had been used before by another company with the same initials, you'd have to maybe put KINS or something, right? But I'll do KS just now for Kingspan. And then what's the other thing you had? Just for this one, you had rigid phenolic foam. Well, that's a material. So under material, rigid phenolic foam. Now, what is rigid phenolic foam when it's at home? It's not PIR, is it? What is it, Ralph?
Yeah.
So it's not, am I right in saying it's not PIR? The rigid phenolic foam is the one that's carcinogenic to galvanized metal. It makes it rust. Is that right?
Actually, I read the data sheet, just took the material from there.
So rigid phenolic foam, sorry, I do apologize, say that again. Rigid phenolic foam is not PIR, it's a different RZ. Rigid phenolic foam made by Kingspan, Celtics make it as well, I believe, and it's actually slightly better than PIR. However, its downside is it's carcinogenic to, it makes things rust pretty fast. So you can't just put normal screws in there. You have to use, I think it's galvanized screws or something you have to use, or you have to use, I don't know. There's how you fix it is different to normal. So that'll be in your cost data sheet, no doubt. But that's fine. We don't overly need to know about that in this. Cost, cell, PIB, and then that's the roof panel. Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to put the product manufacturer, the material, and subtype in there. That could be your subtype, for example. Cooltherm K107 pitch roof board.
Yeah. That's the product name. Yeah.
K107. You have to make sure that K107's not been used before.
Okay.
And then you carry on. So your code now would look something like your manufacturer be KS, rigid phenolic foam, RPF, and your subtype actually K107. That should be your code there you'd use. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll copy that. I'll put it in there. I'll not paste it. Well, actually, this is my one anyway. This is one that's on my laptop, not online. Oh, sorry. I just lost that. Copy. Paste. So, so that would be your codes there, rather than what you had written. Does that make sense?
So I'll change it. I'll change the remaining.
That's fine. But rather than you changing it just now, what I'm going to ask you to do is when you're starting to draw, or when you are drawing your things, say this is my phenolic foam make component. Oh, sorry, I don't know the codes now. I'll move that here so I can actually see it at the same time. I apologize. Right, 3, I'll go ZZ underscore type it's insulation INS underscore material. Well, this is your RPF underscore subtype. This is where I think the code we've got is quite bad, because you've got subtype then manufacturer, which does my head in, and differentiator 1. So there's my product, or that's your product, sorry. The only thing I need to do to it now, I imagine I'm going to put that onto the external of a building, sorry. I would just copy that, paste it wherever I want it, give it the thickness that I want to give it, i.e. whatever thickness I want. I'll give it 100 mil just now. There we are. 100 mil thick, get into that line, and I could then push and pull. I'm pretty sure I remember phenolic board not when it first came out, but when we were starting to really push it as a product. Right, so there's your phenolic foam on external of that panel, let's just say, for example, or the external of the house. You might want to buy a product that's pre-finished, like an external cladding or something pre-finished on it, make your life a bit easier, to be truthful. Right, then I've got all of that. If I just select those two items and I don't select anything else, I'll do that again. So I'm not selecting my existing wall. I'm only going to select those two panels. I go File, Generate Report, Class Demo, run that. I've only got those two products. Download that. I'll download it there just now. Doesn't overly matter. Come on, be nice to me. And there we are. There's the two items. Sorry. There's the two items. There's the code. So I can do the exact same thing. Text. Oops, sorry. If I spell it correct, it would help. Text split. And then I'll just do the same as what I've done before.
This is how you get the spreadsheet.
Oh, right. Oh, I'll do that again. Right. So I'll shut that down. Don't save. I'll shut that down. So I select my two products that I've just drawn, my phenolic foam. I'll move them out of the way so you can see that I'm only selecting only those. File, Generate Report. I did demo in the class the other week there of how to do this, but what we'll do is I'll go into it, I'll edit it so you can see how I made it in the first place. All I've done was I told it to do current selection only, and I pulled over various things. I pulled over definition name, IFC type classification, tag, volume entity, length X, Y, Z. I also pulled over row mean. Well, we never actually gave it row mean. We never even gave it an IFC product either, to be honest. I just press run. It generates a report. There's nothing in IFC tag classification because we never actually tagged it, did we? I forgot to do it. And I never gave it a density either, so there's nothing there as well. If I download that, sorry, V2, let's just say open, yeah, open now. And it opens up in Microsoft Excel. My word of warning is this is not a Microsoft Excel. If I press save just now, it will not save it as Microsoft Excel. It will save it as a comma delimited file, and anything you do to it, you'll lose it. My recommendation is to go there, go copy, go file, then new workbook. and placed it into a new workbook and then save that. Otherwise, the previous one, I'll just prove my point. If I modify this, I'll just do that. I'll not bother. But if I modify this and I then do save, it's currently set as default as a .csv file, and that's not what you want. You want it as a workbook.
Excellent.
Otherwise, you lose a lot of your data. So just be very mindful of that. That's the one thing I hate about doing it this way, is that if you're not careful, you might lose your data. So just be careful with that. Now, and there's the information on that product. Okay?
Yeah.
So I could, why don't I just do that? Why don't I just copy that the now? I'll go into the one that I've got half done.
In the nomenclature, I was not going to mention the subtype.
Sorry?
Um,
Right. I was wondering if somebody was going to talk about that. That's wonderful. Right. So at the moment, all I've demonstrated is a very simple extract. I've extracted the data and I've taken only the material. However, what Ralph has demonstrated, if I go back to Ralph's one here, Ralph has demonstrated that he's got Kingspan, phenolic foam, and there's the subtype K107. But you might have another one that's K108 for all I know. I don't know if there is such a thing as 108. Let's just pretend there is just now. That is a subtype. And Ralph, you're quite right. What I've demonstrated would not distinguish between the material and the subtype. However, what you are allowed to do, yeah, some ifs command. This is a build-up. Thank you for mentioning that, Ralph, because I would have forgotten to mention this. This is a build-up or a nested if command. I want you to play about with it. Now, I'll tell you two ways to do it. I'll tell you the right way to do it in the real world. You would do a nested if command, which is this sum if s command, and it's a nested if command. So if you've got a product that is, go back to yours, sorry mate, you've got an K107, so a K107 and a K108, and manufacturer and material are exactly the same. You're not going to distinguish between the two, but you'll need to distinguish between the two. So this command here that I was just trying to show you that I then deleted, some if command. I'll just close that now and I'll take the equal sign away. You would use that, and I'll let you learn how, I'll let you play yourself, learn how to use that to distinguish. And then yes, you would want to distinguish between the two subtypes. And it's very easily done, very easily done. However, I was hoping we're not going to record this bit, but too late, we're recording anyway. Or you could cheat. So only a small building. What you could do is you could decide to only have one product that's phenolic foam of a certain thickness or a certain type, and just have only one of them and have that as your material. Now, in reality, that isn't a panel. That's not a panel you'd use on the external of the wall anyway, is it? Right, because in the roof boards, all you would need to do is put a cheap rollback insulation or wood fiber, anything nice and cheap, because you've got loads of space. You go 450 deep if you want. So you wouldn't necessarily use phenolic foam in the roof. but you could use a phenolic foam board bonded to it, a cladding, and have that on the external. You could have a look at other manufacturers as well that will bond PIR or phenolic boards onto their products. A company called Yorkshire Plywood specialise in that. I think Barry found a product that done a similar thing. Is that right, Barry?
I don't think it was me.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Well, there's lots of boards out there that have got an insulation and a cladding bonded to it. Take 2 minutes, Google it, find one, use it. I wouldn't get bogged down on the detail of it. What I want you to start to think about is to start drawing something and put in the data as you draw it. So correct the data you've got there as you're drawing it, rather than, I'm going to stop sharing, rather than having to, what's the word? Make a large data set and hope, how do I use that data set? Don't do that. Build the data set up. Build the data set up as you're building the BIM model. Makes your life a lot easier. Right. I had something else in mind I was going to say to you there. No idea what it was. Yeah, Joe, I'm conscious of a couple of things that you had said. And I'm also very apologetic about 2 weeks ago that I couldn't make that Thursday thing happen.
Oh, that's all right.
Life just got mental.
That's all
Or
right.
university life.
We're discussing other courseworks on the call.
Yeah. So how about this then? I'm happy to do a catch up to do the basics 101 drawing. What we could do is we could pull up the model that I've given you, right? And I think you've all got SketchUp working now. I could literally draw things like, in fact, if you could do me a favor, if you could find me 3 panels, 3 different manufacturers, put them in that spreadsheet, put URLs of, I would go external insulation, and if you can go with a pre-finished board. One of the other gentlemen, he is an architectural technologist though. He's went for a board, I forget the name of it. It'll be in that spreadsheet somewhere. And it's an insulation board. He's then put on a render on top of it, and that means multiple layers. But he now has to draw each one of them separately and build it up. For you guys, just pick a board, pre-finished. Give me the info, and what we'll do is we'll do a basics 101 SketchUp, assuming, and it will take time I'm afraid, but I'll do it as if you've never watched any of the SketchUp videos. I'll do it from absolute beginner. So what I'll only do though is I'll only do that external wall, and I'll do maybe say either the front or the back elevation with the openings, right? I'll do one, and you could then do the others, right? But I'll probably not give you. I'll figure out if I give you my file or not, because I want to demonstrate it 3 times. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. But that will only be just one wall that you'll get. You'll then need to do the other 2 walls, obviously. The fourth wall is a party wall. Forget about that. You then want to think about, well, what do I do with air tightness? And you then want to think about, well, what do I do with the windows? I need to draw something in there. So I can give you a cheat sheet on how to do that. There's a thing called, no, it's still open. There's a thing called in SketchUp. I'm conscious of our time. I'll be 2 seconds, I promise, Joe, promise. There's a thing called 3D Warehouse. I'll show you that. So how about if you decide just now when you would like this 101 lesson from the very beginning on how
Andrew,
to create.
quick question. When I'm in SketchUp, it doesn't show this. See the icons down the side of yours there? See the way you've got stuff down on the left-hand side? It doesn't show that on mine. Is that okay?
Watch. That is, first of all, absolutely not a problem. So what I've got here, Barry.
Yeah.
These are things that we need. There's that classification. I'll come to that in a minute. So what we've got here, if I go up here, right click, I've got all of these additional things that I can add in.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the large tool set that I had.
All right, okay.
And this is the dynamic components that I had. You definitely need that. That's for programming.
Andrew, that's sorry to interrupt you. That's one of the issues that I've been having. When I'm opening it up, I've already got dynamic tool components selected, but sometimes it's not showing up with the icons. It's like I'm trying to select it, but it's just not appearing.
Oh, it might be because if you got using a laptop,
Yeah, but I've got another screen attached to it.
that's why. Right. I have the
Ah.
exact same problem. I go from desk to desk to desk all the time. I've got an office in my house, computer, 2 additional screens in the house. I've got an office in Seven Hills, monitors, and I've got an office at Merchiston, again, monitors. And then when I'm dossing about in coffee shops, I pull out an iPad, and that's even more confusing. If I move this here, right, and I don't dock it, if I dock it, it's fine, but if I don't dock it and I leave it on one of my other monitors that I've just done now, then I then go to another desk, sometimes I can't find that thing, and it's an absolute nightmare. I
Right.
hate it.
Even though it's selected, it's basically sitting on another screen somewhere.
Yeah, and there's ways to find it, and it's just awkward. I
Yeah.
found the best way for me, either never use an iPad, or if you are using an iPad, plug it in and move. You know how you've got your screens? I'll just demo. I'll just demo it. Oops. There's my current setup just now. My laptop, monitor 2, monitor 3. What I find myself having to do is if I've lost things, is plug in an iPad and move it until I eventually find the thing that I've lost. And I find it frustrating.
Okay.
Honestly, it's annoying. Dock things in SketchUp, just dock everything. If I
Okay.
say dock it, what I mean by that is place it in there, then save the file.
I think if I'm honest, that's the sort of things that I'm struggling with most is just these wee things like this, all these wee sort of tricks in just manoeuvring around SketchUp.
Yeah.
I think
Now-
once I learn the manoeuvring and how to, because I had things all over scattered everywhere, and I was like, you've just got them sort of neatly in a row, and mine are like here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. Now, I feel your pain. I'm also very aware that end of the day, in your job, you're very unlikely to be doing 3D modeling in the future ever, because user facility managers. Let me give you some great news though. In the future though, you will be using data from BIM models, either in 3D, possibly not actually, but in drawn, but originally that was done in the BIM model. And you will be doing that going forward in the future. It might not be in a 3D format. It might show you a 3D model of your building, showing you where the room is, or where the plant room is, or what the thing looks like, but you'll never be asked to model things in your career, I wouldn't have thought. So let's just bear that in mind and make sure that when we're looking at marking for you guys, when Andrew Smith and I, when we're marking this module, I will not be marking it like for like with the ATs. In the same respect though, you guys are a bit further on in many respects in the ATs and other avenues. For example, cost data sheets. You know what these things are. You know how to pull them out. You know about quantity takeoffs. It's a thing you've done before. And you can also think about when you're being asked for a brand new building, what information would you want in your management facilities model for the asset? What would you like to see after you've been given the keys to the building? What data would you have liked stored, captured in day one when you started to design it? And if you're able to answer that and then present that in that oral presentation, trust me, you'll be on a winner. End of the day, when it comes to the oral presentation, please emphasize that you are FMs, and I want you to think about we are FMs, and when we get this building after it's built, we want to take that model that's been created, and this is how we want to use it. I know that we're going to talk about things like the creation of a portfolio of drawings and things. You can put a twist on that and think about, well, we're FMs. Make sure you put a twist on it, please. Right?
Okay.
Now, remember your oral presentation. We discussed this either last week or the week before. I can't remember now. You've got a maximum, and I use the word maximum, of 30 minutes. So emphasize in there that I think you guys are doing incredibly well when it comes to the oral presentation part, as long as you do draw out and focus upon BIM data. This protocol, I'll go back to sharing my screen. This protocol thing, this naming thing, if that's done correctly in the first place, then everything that's in that model will have a meaning, it'll have data attached to it. You can attach in there things like maintenance scheduling, things like that, or what is the product, how does it need to be maintained. Now, whether it's stored in this, in the BIM side, or whether the non-geometry data, which is, sorry, not that one, this one. This is the non-geometry data, and your costings. You could have things in there, not just cost URLs, but you could also have things in there, maintenance scheduling, for example, in there. And so if that was all put in there in day one by the architects, the engineers, the mechanical and electrical engineers, if they put all that data in there, by the time they hand the building over to you with this massive data set of information, and if you've had a say in its creation in day one, it's going to make your life magnitudes better going forward. So if you can communicate that, trust me, you're walking out with a first. It's really not about how good a BIM drawer you are, because that's not the thing for you guys. The ATs, that's different. They'll need to demonstrate that they can draw. They'll have to draw sections and things quite nicely. But I'd rather you focus on what can you pull from it.
Okay.
Right. What I'm going to say before Barry runs off, and MD runs off, when do you want to do this? When's your next hand in? And can we do it after that?
We've got something due this Friday. What about, is it next Monday's Teams call suitable?
Yeah, the next Monday's team call 101 from absolute scratch. Absolute scratch of, but do me a favour, go and get me 3 products, just external wall cladding products, or internal if you want. But we've already done an internal one, so you've already got a demo of that. And I think you've also got that model as well. I'll just make sure that I'm correct in saying that. I will upload this spreadsheet. Yeah, there we are. Export data example. So I've already given you. No, that's not good enough. The one I've done today is far better. So I'll upload this one for you. But I have given some other stuff though. Oh, and there's the BIM classification. That's me creating that model there without the phenolic foam, right? And there's the YouTube video of me making it. So you already have all of that. And I've got other videos that we've done before, or you have them as well, us talking about that naming structure. So you have all that. So for next week, we're going to call it SketchUp 101 for this BIM module, right? We'll title it like that. And what I might even do is I might even invite in some of my other students just to make sure they've got a chance, if you don't mind. Okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that, Andrew.
Right. If you are struggling at all, please give me a shout. We shouldn't need to struggle on this. what we really want to do is make sure that we can get over our understanding of the BIM protocol, the BIM naming protocol, sorry. The way how we use it, we'll demonstrate us using it, we'll pull some data out, we'll ship it around, and we'll create things from it. We already have a full list of what's meant to be produced. I might double check, if you don't mind, with Andrew Smith on what our expectations of the FM students might, if they differ, how they do differ. And it will be more user group. I want you to emphasize that BIM data platform for handover, right? So for example, I don't think you guys should be doing sectional drawings. And I don't think you guys should be, I think you'll have to do drawings, absolutely. That's part of it, super easy to do. But I don't think you need to be as heavily invested in doing very detailed sectional drawings. So that's what I may have a chat with Andrew about perhaps tomorrow, if I can catch him for 5 minutes, just so we can just make sure that we can tweak it. So I'm not allowed to change the brief. The brief's not allowed to change again, right? But what I'll do is I'll just emphasize to you guys in written format as well, so you know, so it's clear what we're asking you to do. So I want to make sure you've got the opportunity to go for that 100%.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's not relevant.
Yeah.
But in the same context though, the AT students don't have your depth of experience in what you guys are doing, so fair's fair in that respect. But yeah, be fine. Absolutely fine.
Okay.
Any questions just now before we head off?
Do you know we find the three panels, three manufacturers? We just put them into that shared sheet. Is that where we're putting them? Is that where we're storing it? Or we just keep it
My
to ourselves?
recommendation is on that shared sheet, I would only put them in as you start to draw them.
Okay.
As you start drawing it. Don't start filling that database up of things that you've not drawn yet. So what to do is in the meantime though, make your own spreadsheet, find the things you want to use, put one of them in for me, right? But maybe put it down here somewhere, right?
Okay.
Put them down there. And what I'll do is next Monday, I'm going to use your data and I'm going to draw 3 panels and I'm going to draw 1 panel for each elevation or something. That's what I'll do. I'll just show you how to do it from scratch. I mean, that's not the whole thing, because you'll have to then modify it, change it. You'll have to put windows in. I'll show you how to do that as well. And you'll have to put insulation on the roof, insulation XYZ, or air tightness layers, depending on what product you buy, or you use. Because you might pick a product that will have no effect on the air tightness. So your air tightness might just remain absolutely 25 as it is at the moment. We did demo that in class and on Teams call the other week there. For those that missed that, try and watch that video. That's where we had that spreadsheet that I had pre-prepared for another project, and you had the comparisons cost to run the building for a financial year, if you remember that. So we can pop over most of that next week, but what we want to start to do by this time next Monday is to actually start you guys putting objects onto that physical house.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
Sure.
And it's not going to be as difficult as you think it is. I will just double check that with Andrew Smith about what our expectations will be with you guys in comparison to the ATs. And I'll then check with the equivalent of Andrew Smith, which is called Masood, about what the expectations of the ATs are. Because the ATs will do wonderful drawings, guaranteed, but they're unlikely to do as well as you guys will do with the BIM data aspect. No disrespect to them, because this is more your field. Data and information is the thing that you play with all the time in your jobs when you're looking at facility management. So, you'll both have your strengths. So I want to make sure that when I'm marking them, I'm marking the two groups of people separately from each other, and then so it's fair
Yeah.
Right, I've said that too many times now. I think we're all good. If you've got any other questions, give me a shout. If you can't think of a question just now, but you think of one 5 minutes time, pop me an email. No, we've got the WhatsApp. Put it on the
Yeah.
WhatsApp. I'll definitely respond to that. If you got Andrew Smith on that as well, Ralph.
No, we don't have him.
Nah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Have you got your other lecturers in there as well, or is it just me you've got?
It's just this people in this Teams call, isn't it? Yeah.
Is
Do
there,
you not
is there
have
other
the other people in your
Is there other
class?
FMs in the class?
Sorry?
Is there other FMs in the class that are just
Yes. Yeah.
getting
Actually,
along fine?
I dropped them an email to share their details, but no one responded. So I thought maybe they're out of the module.
There's
Or...
another two,
There's your
isn't there?
class
Yeah.
there.
No, another. Yeah, there's another two.
Maybe they don't need any extra help.
I'm going to
Lucky
be
them.
truthful with you. I
Yeah.
think Ralph got it right. Ralph had suggested that they've dropped off.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
right, okay.
I think you're right. I don't know. I've seen nothing from them. I can check, but I'm not going to do it online. Well, A, whilst we're recording, and B, whilst you are watching me. I can check everyone's what's it
Yeah.
called? There's a name for it. When people go onto Moodle, if they go
Yeah.
onto Moodle, we track when you were
Right.
on, how long for, what did you look at. So we
Yeah.
use that. We don't use that at all. I'm going to kid on. If there's ever a problem, we could use that. Because
Yeah.
you might think, why did I fail? Well, you failed because you never logged on to Moodle ever. Or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
logged on twice in the entire time you were studying. Or you only logged in the week before the exam type thing.
Yeah.
And that's when
Yeah.
it could be used. We don't
Yeah.
actually use that feature, or I don't use it. The only people that don't use it will be the office if there's a problem. But
Yeah.
anyway, but I can check people's activity. But I'm not going to do that now, if you don't mind.
That's fine. Okay. So
Right.
it'll just be the three of us plus you in that group chat just now then, Andrew.
Just that is right, my word. Okay, well, that's the other two's misfortune. And how are your other two modules? Did you do okay? Do you
I've
get
only
much
got one.
feedback?
Property asset management. You both guys are in that, yes?
Yeah, I'm in that yet. That's the one that the coursework's on Friday, Andrew. We've only got one other one just now.
Right, and you get much feedback from that? Are you getting so much interaction?
No,
No.
I've not had anything. He records the lectures, but that's it. And I find them quite hard to sit and listen to be honest, because there's a lot of noise, and you can't always hear what people are asking, and so but you hear the answer, and it's
I
not
can't
great.
I can't watch them back. You can get
No.
back to your notes. The lecturer he's very active at putting up stuff and all that. Like if he's follow everything, like he's really conscientious of putting stuff up. Everything's there, but it's just trying to follow it of your own kind of accord is
Is it
tricky.
Timotheos?
You're almost given too much opportunity to kind of slip away, that way. I suppose that's distance learning for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that Timotheos though? Who's the lecturer?
Say that name again.
Timotheos.
I think it might be.
Might be.
Yeah.
I recognize
What you do
that
is,
name.
I don't ever really see him. I only see him on the odd blue occasion when he comes into campus.
Yeah.
Maybe
No,
drop in does he wear a headset when he's lecturing?
I don't think so, Andrew. I think he's just got recording it. I don't think
on his laptop.
Yeah, I think he's just recording it. I don't know.
Yeah, if I can get a hold of him.
Dr. Timothy.
Timothy Oliweo or something like
that.
Yeah.
So he used to be in my church, but he now moved to Stirling. So he now lives in Stirling. So I never see him at church at all these days. I never see him on campus, to be truthful. Maybe because the days that I'm at my other office, maybe he's on campus at Merchiston Den, possibly. Maybe pop him an email and say the sound quality isn't the best. Any chance you can wear a headset? He does have a headset. We've all got headsets with noise cancellation. I wear this sometimes if I want to record if a student's emailed me saying they can't make it today. because I've got like four modules that I teach this term, but 3 of which are my modules. And if somebody emails me saying I can't make it today, I will record the lecture. I try not to record them, but if people are saying they're not going to be there and they've taken the effort to tell me they're not going to be there, I will record it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Andrew,
wear a
thank you very much.
headset.
You are taking, extra miles to help us
Yeah.
particularly,
It's my job.
because
Yeah.
you're giving your time and all this stuff.
Oh,
Thank
trust
you.
me, it's my job. What I'm meant to do. Right. Get a hold of Timothy. Send me a polite email saying sound quality is not necessarily the best. Could you perhaps wear a headset? He will not be offended by that. And if I see him, I'll tell him the exact same thing. He's a lovely, lovely guy. He will not be offended. He'll think that there's no complaints, therefore it must be okay. But if you're saying actually it's hard to follow, then that means you need to tell him that. He will not be offended. What you don't do is when it comes to, like, you don't tell him anything, and then you get to the formal feedback, and you write in it, terrible, terrible, terrible. It was useless, and audio is crap. Because then he gets a roasting, literally a roasting for that really bad feedback. And it's better to give him feedback now. He's got a chance to solve it before it's almost the end of term anyway. But
Yeah.
drop him an email tonight and say, look, go and put a headset on if you can, but do it really polite, and he will be fine with it. He does have one.
He might
Do
well
that.
be wearing it already, because it's, it's just audio, it's not a video. So, he might already be wearing it, and it's just all the noise of the class that's just not.
Trust me, if
helping.
you've got a headset, the audio is 10 times better.
Right, okay.
I do this myself. One week I never brought my headset and recorded it. I listened to it back, had to apologise to the class. It was terrible. The only thing you can't do when you're doing that is you can't walk about. But hey ho, that's what it is.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway.
Send him an email. He'll be absolutely fine with it. You'll appreciate you doing that rather than you telling him on the formal feedback, because he'll not appreciate that, because that's too late. It's too late then. If you tell him now, you can do something about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Grand. Okay. Thanks, Andrew.
And don't crucify me and my feedback. Right. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Guys, do you have some time so we can discuss the submission for asset management after this?
Yeah, is that okay, Andrew? Yeah.
I'm going to hang off then, right? And hopefully the call will carry on. Okay, take care, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Andrew.
I'll stop. Hold on. I'm going to stop recording.
Sure.
Right, that's the recording.